So the next question was gonna be like, did you do anything to prepare, anything special for this role? But it sounds like you didn't really have time to because you were just thrown right in.
Yeah, I taped the same day that I got the side, actually.
Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watch Your Pass. Today I'm joined by Stacey Weckstein, the star of Esme My Love, which is coming to digital on June 2nd, 2023. I'm going to talk to her right now, and while you're watching, if you can like and subscribe to this channel, that would be fantastic. I'll spend a lot. Thank you. Thanks so much for joining me. This is Stacey Weckstein, the star of Esme My Love, which comes to digital on June 2nd, 2023. It is a beautiful, slow burn, coming of age thriller horror movie. It is very unique. It is very wonderful to experience, and a lot of that is due to Stacey's amazing performance. So I'm so glad to talk to you. I'm really excited to talk to you, and I think this completes my trifecta of Esme My Love, because I've talked to Cory, I've talked to Audrey, so now I get to talk to you, and that'll be the three main
Nice.
kind of tent poles of this movie. So,
Well, thank you, first of
of
all, for the
course,
compliments.
of course. So thanks so much for joining me. I guess, the first question, I'm always curious, especially for a small film like this, where you have like a very small cast. How did you get involved in this project? How did you find out about this? Had you worked with Cory or Audrey before? Or
So I had not worked with Cory or Audrey before, but I did get the audition. Well, what's funny is I got the audition, what I thought was from another person who worked in the sound studio, but I don't think it actually ended up coming from them, because I had worked with Hunt Beauty, who also works with Cory on a short film that I had done. I believe it was a year before this was casting.
Mhm.
And I had a wonderful experience. We shot in Cory's sound studio. And so I thought the audition came from a recommendation from Hunt, but actually, I think it was from a casting director who I knew from an acting class. So it was just very random. But I got the email for an audition request, and then I auditioned and got a call back. And there were a couple rounds of callbacks. And so that process was also interesting. I don't know if Audrey talked about that at all.
I think she did mention that there was like a lot of chemistry work to see like how you two would mesh. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
No, so
Oh,
Cory actually did this really cool thing after we did, like typically in casting, you either do a self tape and then you go to producers or something like that, and then maybe you do a chemistry read. But with Cory, what we did was we did all of those steps as well. And then we went to Prospect Park and he filmed with the full crew. Like
oh
it
wow.
had Fletcher, it had sound, there were additional crew members, and we filmed a couple scenes like we were actually shooting the movie. And you did that with different pairings of girls. So that was part of the audition process, which was interesting. I'd never done that before.
That is so like in depth and very kind of, I don't know, like anti-indie. Like that is not how I expect an indie casting to go, right? Like you would think like
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
valuable day of shooting. Like how can you possibly do that?
I guess it was like a lesson for him to be like, oh, what kind of shots and angles do I want without, in Prospect Park. So he's obviously not paying for location. And we didn't,
Yeah.
obviously put, sticks on the ground. It was all handheld. So
Yeah, but
yeah.
still, like that's awesome. That's great. Like it is
Yeah.
really, it's one of those things that you probably don't really get a good sense of how this will all work until you actually see it on camera, and then you can really go back and evaluate it. So that's very smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the next question was gonna be like, did you do anything to prepare, anything special for this role? But it sounds like you didn't really have time to because you were just thrown right in.
Yeah, I taped the same day that I got the side, actually. I connected with the material pretty quickly. But yeah, so my prep is my normal prep, reading through the sides a bunch and just trying to find ways to connect with a character.
Yeah, exactly. And it feels like this character, I mean, it's a little darker, but it feels like something that like a lot of people probably can relate to, family history, maybe some not happy past moments, but then also just kind of like the normal human experience of like growing up and taking care of a kid. So it does feel like something that
Yeah.
you at least maybe you have a basis. I have no idea what your background is, but
Yeah, my connection to kids is fur babies. So I have pets.
that's and
Lots
and
of
I'm sure
substitution. Yeah.
and I'm sure those pets maybe remind you of other pets you've had in the past. Like who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have any pets that are like related to previous pets? Is there a connection there?
No, 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 I don't.
Okay. So your character must have been, I don't know, probably you're an actor, so it's not tough, but like it must have been maybe challenging to have essentially I thought you had almost like three distinct roles in this. You had like, the adult you and then kind of a in between you and then the other you. So, was that fun? Was it challenging? Was it both to like play all those in one indie film that I know you had a little bit more time than I expected. I think it was like a couple weeks or 3 weeks to film this, but was it challenging to do all of that for one movie?
No, I think that's pretty standard. Like ideally all the characters, if you're fortunate enough to get to play a lead, are gonna have an arc.
Hmm.
And so Hannah is no different. And what was challenging were some of the physical changes. So we wore I had to wear prosthetics, and so I'd never done that before. And um if you're not familiar with the process, it's quite they cover up my mouth, you only have your nose holes to breathe in. My eyes got covered up with prosthetics. You're in it for a couple of hours and
Oh
your
my God.
pores feel like closed, so you feel. I didn't realize that I was claustrophobic, but through the process I was like, I think I'm a little claustrophobic.
Yeah,
And so that
I don't know if
I think
that's
the most
claustrophobic.
difficult part
Yeah. Yeah, no,
was the
that's
prosthetics.
that sounds horrible. Like, I don't know if I would classify that as a claustrophobic, but that is just like, that must have been very difficult and challenging to be in that for hours. Yeah, Cory mentioned that he like couldn't see anything, and so you have to like trust people to navigate you around in
Yeah,
a not
yeah.
easy to navigate area.
Yeah, yeah, it was definitely a unique, interesting experience. I have so much admiration for people who have to do it for longer shoots.
Mhm.
And, because they're probably not complaining at all. I was like, I can't breathe.
I think you earned complaints, and I guess that's probably maybe beneficial to your role because as you're going, you probably got some scrapes and some cuts, which then make it look natural that you've been in the woods for a very long time. So
True, true.
I can't even imagine. Like I can barely go. I could maybe do like an hour without being able to see, but after that, I would get very frustrated and very just kind of like concerned.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely a unique way of experiencing the world.
And how did you check your phone when this was happening? Like,
What do you mean?
you couldn't see? Were you able to
Oh,
like?
I didn't check my phone, but I'm not one of those people that like my phone is attached to me. So
Yeah. I would like to say that I'm not, but I definitely am. So secrets are coming out. um, Corey also mentioned that he really enjoyed working with you because you weren't afraid to like get dirty because your character has to kind of some of the scenes are, she is digging in the dirt, she is kind of covered, and it also kind of like reflects like mental changes that are happening with her. Was that something that you've always liked, or did you just really dive in for this role and just kind of like give it all for this performance?
well, I think it's kind of a two-part answer. One, I do love nature and I like the smell of dirt, as weird as that sounds, and being around that kind of stuff. But I am really a girly girl, and my digging was not as probably tough as required for the movie. So I was very lucky in that we had Crystal Arnett on set as the fight choreographer. So she kind of took me aside for a few minutes and taught me how to, dig properly. Because even though I am from like very rural Oklahoma,
Mhm.
and I've done some farm chores, but I didn't grow up doing them every day. So my behavior is not, like maybe my pinky's out or something that is not kind
Classy
of
farm.
behavior. Yeah, classy farmer.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. That's fun that you were able to kind of experience that and like get outside, right? I feel like a lot of us spend a
Yeah.
lot of time indoors now, especially people working from home. It's fun to just kind of like get outside and just be in nature for that amount of time.
Yeah. And almost every single day was shooting outside in the woods of this set. Only, I guess we had one pickup day that was at the pool. So that was not but it was still outdoors. And then we had one day that was at like a barn. But other than that, it was all outdoors.
That's that sounds
Yeah.
lovely. That sounds challenging, but also lovely.
No, it really surprisingly was not as challenging as I thought it would be. It was mostly just delightful. Body
Uh,
really likes nature.
yeah, no, that's perfect for you. There was one movie I talked to. There was a kid who was like 15, and it was also like a nature kind of movie out in the woods. And I was like, "How was that?" And she's like, "I was a 15-year-old and I couldn't use my phone for 8 hours a day. What do you think it was like?" I was like, "Okay, I got it." It sounds like this is perfect for you.
Kids these days.
Um, and it sounds like you and Audrey probably had some good chemistry from the start. Given that was part of your challenge to get into this film. But what was it like working with Audrey? I know that she was significantly younger when this was filmed. So what was it like working with her? What was that experience like? Essentially, kind of being a mom, and sometimes, and then also like a compatriot in other times.
Yeah, I mean, Audrey, even at that young age, was like absolute professional. I mean, she, I think, has what's it called when you look at something and you it's memorized? What is that?
Like photograph memory.
Yeah, she has photographic memory. So
Oh
she
wow.
was always off book. She is always was always game to play, was automatically there. So she was wonderful to work with. And obviously, she was a kid. So in between takes, she would have her toys that she would be playing with, they're bopping the crew with and things like that. Um, but she was a real trooper for a kid so young. And we connected, I think, pretty quickly because we both kind of enjoyed playing. So I felt like we had good chemistry because of that. And also her mother, Heidi, was on set a lot. And so she was helpful in being like, you can be a little rougher with my daughter. You can touch her like, this, because I was worried about hurting her because she was so tiny.
Yeah.
And so that was helpful to have the mom on set and such an understanding one as well.
That is awesome because yeah, I can imagine, you want to like make a good scene, but you also want to make sure that Audrey's comfortable and like, you don't, rough too much. And so it's probably great to have the mother there to be like, no, no,
Yeah.
no, it's fine. Like you can handle that. That's great. And also like your characters do have a lot of like aspects of play and aspects of kind of like goofing around in them. So it must have been nice that she enjoyed that and we were able to kind of establish that rapport also.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I was surprised that this movie was filmed like what, like 5 years ago, I think, or something like that. Did you forget about this
I feel like it
movie in
was
the interim?
2018.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you just like forget about this movie? I know sometimes that happens with indie films where it just like goes into, editing or production or whatever you want to call it, and then it just takes a long time to kind of move in the
Yeah, and I mean, we had
process.
the whole thing, COVID happened between that. So I was like, I don't know if this is gonna ever, get made or be seen. So I'm happy that it's finally coming out after all this time. It's exciting.
Yeah, when you watch it, like, is it you look similar to how you looked in the movie? Does it look weird for you to see something 5 years old, or is it just kind of like does it look normal at this point because you've seen so many things that you've been in?
I think because I've seen myself on screen enough, it still looks normal. Um, yeah, but it is strange to think about. I had to for some of this go back and rewatch it and look at the script to remind myself, okay, what happened? Like, what are my thoughts on the film? Because it's been so long that I'm like, you have to dust off that brain
Yeah,
to be like,
exactly.
what
Just
happened
refresh
on set
yourself.
actually?
So have you seen the full film at this point? Have you seen the entire
Yeah,
movie?
yeah, I've seen
Awesome.
it a couple of times. I think 3 or 4 times now. Yeah.
Well, same here. Perfect.
Oh wow.
And have you seen Audrey since then? Because I interviewed her. She looks very different from her Esme My Love performance. Her persona there.
No, I haven't actually seen Audrey. I mean, I think in at least, wow, I think would be pre-COVID since I've seen Audrey, maybe 2019 or something.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah, because I mean, they moved. I'm on the East Coast and they're on the West Coast.
oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And there's probably not going to be like a big premiere or anything like that. So maybe you'll run into each other in a future
Yeah,
project. Hopefully,
hopefully that'd be delightful.
yeah. So for a film like this, I imagine like it sounds like it was a lot of fun. What was the most fun part about making this movie? It sounds like maybe being in nature, or definitely doesn't sound like the prosthetics.
Yeah, the most fun was, that part where I couldn't see and I had trouble breathing. No,
Yeah.
I I really loved like all the scenes where we got to play, like the soup scene, and I loved the underwater scene that we shot in the pool that was like a pickup day because I love swimming and I love being in the water. And then just being in nature is just, yeah.
And I probably should have asked this question earlier, but like this, when like this came across, I was like, oh, cool, like an interesting horror movie, but it has like horror elements, but it's not like full on horror. Is horror something that you were interested in, or did you just think this was going to be an interesting project and it was something that like you wanted to sink your teeth into? Like, what is this a genre that you're hoping to kind of spend more time in? Because it's a wonderful genre and you did a great job in it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I think before this, I had done a horror comedy, like a short film. And that was a lot of fun. And I do enjoy watching like some of the new TV horror genres that have come out, like The Outsiders and The Haunting of Hill House and, American Horror Story and shows like that. I don't actually get a ton of auditions for horror films, but I like the genre and I'm very open to it.
It is a wonderful genre and a very kind of like engaged genre. I find that like anything I do in horror,
Yeah.
you tend to have more people that are kind of interested in following it versus some of the other ones. So
Yeah,
hopefully,
it's true.
hopefully when this comes out, you'll be able to kind of like get more.
Yeah,
Fingers
fingers
crossed. Yeah.
crossed.
And
Horror gods, come on.
let's go more. And this was your first feature film, right? Like was there anything more difficult about that, or did you just kind of treat it as another acting job that was, I guess, longer? Like you had to be there for longer, had to do more, but it was still just kind of the same things that you were used to it with shorts and other TV movies and things like that.
I think what was I mean, this was a dream to be able to be on set for a longer period of time. That's the dream. So that wasn't difficult. I was worried going into it that it would be difficult. And so I prepared this in some ways in the way that I would have prepared for a play, because a play you go on and you do it repeatedly and you do the full thing. So I worked on the scenes. I rehearsed them a bunch of different times, and like I would have the cards in different orders because I wasn't sure what order we were going to be shooting and I was concerned. So I made these kind of cliff notes for myself of each scene and where the character was at in the part of the story, so that because I was so worried that I was gonna, if we mixed up the order, that the sequence of the arc wouldn't capture, or the character's brain or what was
Yeah.
happening in the moment wouldn't be captured correctly. So I practiced that way in some ways, and like kind of gave myself cliff notes so that before each scene I could just like quickly be like, okay, she's here, oh, this just happened, and it's not like the height of crazy, but it's like going there.
It's on the ascent. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
so like detail oriented. I love it. Like that is such a amazing way to prepare, and also it's like a careful attention to detail that is fantastic. So I know we have limited time, so I'm gonna switch. I call it the lightning round. They're just lightweight questions about the film. I want to see how your personal experiences map to things in the film. You can feel free to skip any of them. I will not be offended. But I try to keep them very answerable. First question is: have you ever called your parents by their first name?
Maybe when I was mad at them.
I called my parents by their first name one time, and that was the last time I did it because it was not a good result. So I was also mad at them. I
Yeah.
was in the wrong. Next question is, do you have a sibling?
I do, yeah, an older
Excellent.
brother.
Excellent. So alive, I assume?
Yeah, he's alive.
Excellent.
Alive and well.
Okay, good. That was a risky question, but I figured from your response it was a good response. Have you ever had food poisoning?
Unfortunately, yes.
What was the cause? What was the reason for it? Do you know?
Uh, well, I kind of have a sensitive stomach, so sometimes if I eat like deli food in New York City, I'll get sick. But I think that the one that I remember is like this frozen Mexican food.
All right. You think that would actually be fairly safe because you think the freezing would get rid of it all, but I guess you never
No.
know. Next question is, do you like peaches?
Yes.
Yeah, that Audrey actually, I don't think she liked peaches. I think that was actually something she doesn't like. So that was a perfect scene for her in that
Interesting.
movie.
You
In
should
the
have asked her if she liked Dannon.
Yeah, I could. I can't go back though, but yeah, no, she said that was like the perfect scenario for her because she actually didn't like that. I think I'm trying to remember, but I'll have to go back and double check. Um, so this film, there was a family heirloom, like a necklace that was passed between mother and daughter. Do you have any family heirlooms, any things that have been passed down over the years?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Well, you gotta start one now. Gotta get.
I mean, I did steal my mom's high school a ring that her high school boyfriend gave her, and I wear it like every day, but I don't think that counts as a family heirloom since it's just one person to one person.
You know what? I'll count that. That is an heirloom. We'll go with that. This has to pass one more time, but yeah, that I like that. I like that a lot. When was the last time you went camping?
Never been.
What? Wow. It seems like you would love it. That seems like something that would be right up your
Yeah.
alley.
Well, I've never done overnight camping other
Okay.
than in my backyard, which does not count, even though it is like very rural Oklahoma.
That
Um,
that's surprising.
yeah. Yeah.
You didn't explore camping during COVID when like you couldn't see people, so like everyone kind of like went out into nature?
No, I was just in New York City,
Huh.
gonna,
That's
tour a few blocks.
that seems like a risky place to experience COVID in, but it seemed to work out fine for you. In this movie, there was like a family home that you were visiting. Do you have some sort of like family home that either has been in your family for generations that maybe that you go back to and has a lot of like your memories and things like that?
My mom's grandma has this really old campsite, but I don't know if we even still own it. But we would go back to that a couple times every few years. It was just like this really old house with like an outhouse and like on a farm, in Oklahoma. But that's the closest thing.
I think that works. That's kind of camping, right? If you have an outhouse, that kind of
Well, we wouldn't
classifies.
stay there. We would just visit it.
You just see it.
We
Yep, it's
would
still
just
there.
visit it. Still there. Yeah, exactly.
This is related to kind of like camping in the backyard. Have you ever made like a meal over an open fire? Specifically, like opened a can, like poured it into something and cooked it over the open fire?
Nope. I think the closest thing I've done is s'mores.
Counts. That's a fantastic
Which, you
camping
know
food.
what? To me, that counts as a
Yeah,
meal.
yeah. No, I think this story would have been much happier if you had s'mores instead of like weird canned soups and things like that.
I agree. I agree.
Um, so a lot of this involves looking for things in the ground. Have you ever used like a metal detector to try to find something hidden in the ground?
You know what's funny is that growing up, my friend and I tried to do a time capsule,
Oh, nice.
and then we buried it in my back or front yard, and we couldn't remember. So we would it wasn't a metal detector, but we had like a shovel. It looked like an armadillo or something had gone over like the lawn trying to find our, when we were in high school, what we had buried when we were in elementary school.
And then your parents saw that and yelled at you, and that's when you called them by their first name because they were so upset with you destroying their
Yeah,
lawn.
blame it on the dog.
Yeah. Did
Still
you
related to my dog.
did you ever find it?
We did, yeah, we
Okay.
did find it. It was in the front yard.
Was it
Very
as
close to the
glorious as you remembered it to be? Did it have all the amazing things that you buried?
It was a little sad.
You're like, here's that picture of the person I don't talk to anymore. Here's like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. I was gonna ask, what's the strangest thing you've ever found digging, but a time capsule would count. But have you ever found anything else strange, like from digging, or maybe even just exploring, like your old haunted family campground house?
You know, I Not that I remember, but I do feel like I should have. So maybe I'll start digging and see if I can find something.
Yep, just
Maybe a
hopefully you
better
don't.
answer next time.
Yeah, hopefully you don't find like utility lines and like pipes and things like that. But
Yeah,
maybe
right.
something interesting will be
In New
there.
York, I'm digging in New York. Who knows what I'm gonna find?
Oh yeah, that is dangerous. Is there even ground in New York that you can dig in, or is it all just concrete?
I actually have a whole beautiful lawn in front of my building, but the gardeners would be really pissed off if I dug
Just,
into their beautiful grass. They work
just,
very hard.
just blame it on the dog again.
Yeah.
And that's the perfect space, right? You're supposed to dig near where people live because that's where you're likely to find stuff.
Yeah.
And the last question is, where is your closest shovel?
I guess my closest shovel is probably at the Home Depot a few blocks down, unless we count shovel hands.
That would not be an enjoyable experience digging, but I guess that will have to be your shovel for you to then dig up the lawn and then blame it on the dog. So
Yeah.
we have a process here. I'm excited to see what you find in that New York lawn. I don't know if it'll be good though, because it's New York. There could be anything in that lawn. There could actually be literal skeletons in that lawn. We'll find out. So the film is finally coming out after 5 years. It's coming out on June 2nd, 2023 on digital. You're out promoting it. You're getting the word out. But after people see this film and see you in Esme My Love, what can people look for next from you? Do you have other projects on the horizon? Anything else you're working on?
I have a feature film that I am producing right now, but we haven't begun principal photography on it yet. So we're just in the very early stages, but all the info for the film would be on my website, which is staceyweckstein.biz.
Excellent. And is that also where people can like connect with you on social media and follow you and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, my social media is a little sad. I'm very rarely on there.
Well, you gotta get that social media presence. You gotta get those followers and get that influencer status. Let's go.
So people can discover what I've dug up in my New York City lawn.
You know what? If I saw a TikTok with someone like digging holes in New York, I would probably watch it just to see what they found, and I'm sure it would get a lot of views. So you never know. You can do a whole
It's
day.
true. It's true.
Awesome. Well, the film is Esme My Love. It comes to digital on June 2nd, 2023. This is Stacey Weckstein, the star of the film. It is a fantastic movie. It is a beautiful coming-of-age film that just has amazing cinematography, really great music, and some really amazing performances. So thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in future work.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
That was Stacey Weckstein, the star of Esme My Love, which is coming to digital on June 2nd, 2023. It is a beautiful, slow burn, coming of age horror thriller film. It has some light horror elements, but it is just a wonderful experience. It's a really touching story and an amazing piece of indie art. And a lot of that is because of Stacey's performance. If you liked this interview, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.